This is the page that I'm talking about. It is quite a beast. Normally what I do, sales letter writing process, is before I do the design in GHL/ClickFunnels. So before we build typically the final product, most copywriters are going to write it in Google Docs, mainly simply because it is just much easier to get your idea down onto paper. I even had a fucking typo in there, which was there for longer than I care to admit on the live page. Yet Daniel still says it was amazing, even though it had quite a few errors in it, actually. So it happens when you write something overnight. So the reason we typically do it in Google Doc first is because GHL ClickFunnels are just fucking pain to edit, because it's like, you have to deal with font sizes and HTML and then like drag and drop, and it's just a bit more finicky, whereas in Google Doc, you just have more free flow, right? So typically you want to separate the writing process from the design process. You don't want to get lost in the source, because what happens if you were to build it in GHL or ClickFunnels from the beginning is your brain's basically constantly switching between copy and then design and then drag and drop and then click and then functionality. And it's not very efficient. How I made a viral. By the way, it's also done about 16 grand in sales so far. 5-figure in the first 24-ish hours. Sales page for Daniel Throssell in 12 hours. Amazing. So 3 core principles. 1, write drunk, edit sober. In this case, it was one of those rare cases where I was actually not drunk. I was stone sober. So just to be clear, even the red wine thing was a lie. Normally though, it's not unheard of for me to do that, but just to be clear. So we'll put quotes around drunk. 2, who can tell me what is the most important, critically overlooked part of copywriting? Coming up with any sort of campaign. All right. So good old Abe Lincoln. Essentially what he's referring to here is the research process. And I fully agree. I spent more time researching than I did writing. And if you do your research right, spend enough time on it, the letter basically writes itself, because you find all of the necessary angles that you need. You have all the raw ammunition that you need to write something that performs well. A third core principle, for now, I'm just going to call this AI plus brain power. Obviously, you got 12 hours to write something. So we're going to use AI, shockingly. I'm not going to sit there writing this from scratch. Now, it's time to get this page done. What do we do? Where do we start? So obviously I have my existing page, and obviously I'm going to use Claude for this rather than try and write an entire page from scratch. So let's go to projects. Little crash course on how to use Claude skills and projects. If you guys have not started using it yet, definitely this is the workflow that you want to start to adopt. Firstly, if you guys aren't a Claude, I assume you guys are all using Claude, yeah? I don't think anyone here is using ChatGPT anymore. Please, for the love of God, you should not be. Unless you're using our particular, bot, CMB Copy Pro. It is much better than normal ChatGPT. So the way you want to think of projects, co-work, code, chat, and skills, because Claude rolled out a hell of a lot of free features over the last 2 months, is basically like this. So skills. So chat, obviously you guys are familiar. Basically, I sent an email about this the other day. The analogy to use, there you go, so cooked at 5 a.m. I couldn't even decide on the capitalization of my subject line. The analogy to think about is if you hired a really smart intern with amnesia, that would be chat. Okay, basically, you want them to do one task with no context or no memory. That's what chat's for, one-off questions, okay? Everyone's familiar with that. Skills, let me write this out. So chat equals one-time questions. So no context needed, essentially. Skills, Claude skills, is essentially think about it as like an SOP, or anytime we need to like repeat a process. Literally skill, like a skill you want them to have. So this would be the Sean Ferres voice skill. Talk like Sean, write like Sean. That's a skill, I guess. So this would be, for example, you hire the same intern, but they're really, really good at one particular thing. They're really good at writing emails. They're really good at playing the piano. Okay, they're really good at one particular skill. That's the way to think about it. Projects is, as the name suggests, a particular project, like a webinar or a welcome sequence or a launch or a sales page rewrite. Okay, obviously this is a sales page rewrite. This is a project. And so I'm going to use Claude projects. And this is really anything that needs context. So anything where you want it to have a lot of context in its brain to produce the output. Okay, that's how you want to think about it. So for that same freelancer analogy, so again, chat is a really smart intern with amnesia. Skills, really smart intern who's good at one particular thing. Projects, this is like putting them in a office with all of the SOPs and resources and libraries like across all the walls, okay? So you can't basically, let's zoom, you can't give AI like infinite context on everything forever, because it can't process all the information in the world when it's answering every question you have, because it would just use all the credits, right? And like it would use zillions of credits. So for a project, you basically just give it everything you want it to know for this particular, it's hard to say projects without projects. Co-work is just when you need it to do shit for you, essentially. So it's just like Claude's version of OpenClaw. Anything where you want it to actually go research, click buttons, actually use your computer, sort files, whatever it is, do the shit for you. And then code, you don't really need to worry about code. That's more developing shit. Dev mode. Okay, that's your little Claude crash course. And obviously you can stack these too. So you can combine all of them. So here, what I did is I spun up a new project, call it the AI Ads Lab Daniel Throssell Rewrite. And then first things first, I actually, because this is a new offer, I hadn't done this yet. So what I actually did is I did the research process from the AI Ads Lab. So if you guys have actually been through the AI Ads Lab, I actually eat my own pudding. And I created those research docs because I didn't have them yet because this is a new offer. So just to refresh you guys' memory, so we can find, there's a lot here. So firstly, what I uploaded into project is all of the actual AI Ads Lab course material and slides, plus the original sales page. So it's familiar on what we're actually working with here, what we're actually selling, plus how I originally sold it. Oh yeah, so these are the reports. So first thing I needed to create was the research report in order to do this, right? If I'm going to use AI, I need AI to be up to speed on the target avatar. So we always got to start with the target avatar, right? So go here to AI assets. By the way, this is the way Hormozy told me to organize my AI folder like this, is you have data sources, frameworks, research docs. Would recommend the same. So research docs, first thing I needed to create was this. So I've had my sales copy blueprint from the BizOp one from CMB, but I had not yet made it for the creative strategy breakthrough. So the first thing to do, it took me about 2 hours. And this is before the sales page writing. So this is the day before pretty much. I wasn't procrastinating that bad. Okay, this is what I spent my Sunday doing, is essentially, this is the target avatar where I said target avatar, research on my own avatar. So this is the exact same sheet as I showed you already in the AI Ads Lab. I basically just redid the whole thing to talk specifically to this offer of helping copywriters pivot and become creative strategists. And even, it's been 6 months and the landscape shifted, right? The narrative's different. This creative strategist is a thing. It wasn't a thing before. The market sentiment is different. And so that needs to be reflected in this research doc. So I basically just went through and redid all of this. So to be clear, this is your offer, your target avatar, psychographics, pain points, emotional drivers, market awareness, ideal client example, unique mechanisms, credibility, case studies, offer details, risk reversal, urgency, guarantee, activation points, frequently asked questions, just as much as you basically can, brand strategy, visual identity, content pillars, and then your links. So same thing as before. I also used actually the Hormozy AI and Claude to help me with this doc. I basically said, here's my old one. My new offer is creative strategist. I just use Whisperflow. I basically just voice dump everything into it. I'm like, my new direction is this. Please change this doc to be for my new avatar. That's all I really needed to do. And then obviously manually going through and making sure it's all good, adding as much as I can to the doc. So that's the master doc. Then if you guys remember from the AI Ads Lab, the research process is, I wonder if this is included here. I think I was actually separate. Here it is. I actually didn't know Claude had deep research. I thought I'd have to use bloody ChatGPT or Perplexity, but turns out Claude's got everything. It's a one-stop shop. So I said, hey, can you actually do deep research? And it was like, yep, research. I was like, oh, sick. So then I gave it my original docs and I said, hey, can you do this for me instead of a client? And I basically rewrote the prompts that are in the AI Ads Lab for my offer. And I said, cool, here's the thing I just showed you. Please rewrite the prompt and then go do the deep research. So that's all I really did there. Took the prompt that it gave me and then spat in my docs for the offer. So the creative strategist breakthrough offer, just to give it more details on like what is creative strategy and all that sort of stuff, what I'm looking to do. And then it remade my doc. So this took some time. Again, it's about 30 minutes per doc. So if you guys are unfamiliar or you just forgot, the 3 research docs that we need to create, these. So first is your ICP, avatar deep research doc, so voice of the customer. And then it will go and basically research places like Reddit, forums, online articles, what it's seeing. Now, bear in mind, this took some finesse because what it originally came back with was extremely negative. It was just like, oh my God, dude, your audience is fucked. They're all like have abandoned hope on copywriting. They've all given up. And I thought the narrative was like really positive. And obviously it's scanning Reddit and like blogs and articles, which are all going to be like very clickbait, sensationalism, and Reddit's very negative. And I was like, oh, that's not the market sentiment I thought it was at all. I thought copywriters were like positive again. And then I was like, okay, can you look at it with like a bit more perspective and not just focus on the the clickbait negative Nancy's who've like, given up. And there's one side it just kept quoting, which was like blood in the machine or something about this like doomerism guy. Basically, the whole narrative was like doomerism, about how like we're all fucked because of AI. And I was like, okay, that's cool, bro. But like, there's still working copywriters out there, so maybe weigh their opinions, not just like this random dude who's like a mega pessimist. And I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. So then I went back and it gave me a more balanced report. That's why it's key. It's like you can't just leave your brain at the door when you're using AI. I want to make that clear. You can't just be like, delegate your thinking. You need to actually read the doc that it gives you and think, okay, is this right? Do I agree? Super key, you get this right. Okay. You need to review the doc. If you just blindly take what it gives you and then ask it to write you a promo and the core research docs are wrong, you're fucking cooked. Okay. So you need to spend your time on this. This is why, like I said, the first 4 hours sharpening my axe. So I spent the whole of Sunday actually doing the research. I joked in the email that it's like I'm researching my own audience, but it's been 6 months since I've done this and the landscape's changed. So it's important that I recreate the docs and they're accurate to what I'm actually trying to serve. Okay. So I basically read them. And then after a couple of iterations, I was like, okay, I think I agree with this based on what I'm also seeing. So I basically said, the big things going on right now in the space, I think it might be too late to just, create a strategy wave or whatever. I don't want to be a prompt monkey. So what's basically happening is clients are cutting copywriters' rates and just saying, oh, well, you're just using AI. So, I'm going to pay you like, AI rates instead of human rates. I burned before, can't afford to be burned again. So there's basically a lot of shit courses out there. I want stability, not a Lambo. This is a pretty interesting one. People just want like to make 10K a month. They don't really care about the Lambo lifestyle, laptop lifestyle, whatever, the lifestyle fantasy. It's kind of just like I want stability of income. So I want to make like a stable 10K a month, which is a pretty interesting thing. So anyways, I'm not going to get into this. This is a whole section on its own. You can attach the docs below this training if you guys want. I'm just showing you how I created them. Okay, so that was number one. And then I was like, cool, we got that right. Now I'll do number two, competitor teardown. So I basically just said, here is what I perceive to be my top, let's say 5 to 10 competitors, direct competitors. So it's like Tyson, I guess technically Matthew, even though he's a coach in our team, Cardinal, the Genesis guys, Luke and Mario. I basically said these guys are probably the daddy of the industry. Like they're probably the top dogs, but they do serve a more advanced avatar. So there's also like room for me to slot in sort of below them, like slightly below them, but way above the BizOp people. So there's space there. The Copy That Academy, even people like this, Dara Denny, apparently she's like the Alex Catoni of creative strategy. I just found out she's got like 130,000 subs on YouTube. Even Aman Ghazi, so BizOp people there as well. So those are more like adjacent competitors, not direct competitors, essentially. Even still, so we went back and forth. I asked it to firstly research competitors for me. I pushed back a little bit. I said, these people, yes, these people, no. We settled on a list of like 10-ish people. And they said, cool, go make the doc. So I made the competitor analysis doc. Then from there, did the same thing to create the third document here, which is basically the market trend, like the macro market, what's happening in the copywriting industry, marketing industry, the AI, industry, the economy as a whole, like the macro economy, what's happening in the world. That stuff's really important, obviously, because it's like if we're in a recession or if we're in a bull market, that's going to change the narrative, right? What's going on in someone's head. If it's during the pandemic, it's like that's not something you can ignore, right? Even though like, oh, that's nothing to do with copywriting, but it's like, yeah, it affects all humans in the globe, right? So if we're in a recession, people are going to be more fear-based and you need to talk to that in your messaging. If we're in a times are great and everyone's making money, then you need to talk to that in your messaging. You can be more optimistic, see what I mean? Rather than addressing like skepticism. Leilani, you said you changed the prompt. For me, I asked Claude to essentially change the prompt for my audience because the original prompt talks about how, go do research for my client. I basically just put the prompt into Claude and I said, is there anything you would change about this before I run this in Claude? Like, I can't stress enough, guys. You just got to retard max your way to the bank. Okay. So if you don't know what to do, like literally just ask Claude. So I just like, here's my doc. Here's my deep research prompt. What did I say? Literally, it started the thread. Can you do deep research? Yes. Okay. Cool. Sick. Here's my doc. Can you rework the prompt for the ICP deep dive? The objective is to conduct deep market research. And here's the prompt. And it's like, cool.
Sorry, so you basically just asked,
Sorry?
did you just ask because you had initially crafted it for chat and you wanted it to be better for thought?
No, not because of that. They pretty much work equally. I just thought I may as well take the opportunity to improve the prompt if necessary, or because like the AI models have advanced in what they can actually do, and their capabilities. And so I was like, well, this is, it's from 6 months ago. I'm just wary that AI, like 6 months in AI time is like 6 years in normal time. And so it's like, maybe there's additional research that it can do that it couldn't do before when the old prompt was made. So I'm like, okay, well, let's just take advantage of whatever you can actually do now. Maybe there's certain
Okay, nice.
sites that I can visit now that I couldn't before or whatever. So that's the only reason I did that. Okay. I basically explained the whole situation. So I was like, hey, this is a workshop I rolled out in October 2025. We're doing this promo. This is the deal. Some context. Copy that to the webinar. So Daniel's list has seen some creative strategy stuff before. The reason why the offer is so hot right now is because I told the whole Andromeda story and all that you've heard. I also did attach the copy that webinar transcript because I know a lot of them have watched the webinar. So again, this all comes down to like meeting them where they're at, right? So meet them at their main street. The best copy is you basically, who said it? Entering the conversation in the prospect's mind. Some famous copywriter said that. I can't remember who. Someone can tell me in the chat. You'll get brownie points. That's what you want to always do, right? Enter the conversation that's in the prospect's mind. So what they're already thinking, that's where you want to meet him. And given I know Daniel's list has seen and heard of this whole copy that webinar for quite a while, that's what they already know. You don't want to waste time explaining what they already know. They already know creative strategy is hot. They already know that it's in demand. They know that it's about ads. And so like, if I spend half my sales letter re-explaining what creative strategy is, when they've been hearing about that already for 6 weeks, it's like, I'll lose them. So I want to meet them exactly where they are. What exactly that they know, what they want, pain points, desires, all that. It's got to start from there. So this is what I mean about writing the page specifically for his audience. I'm also like talking to Claude and telling him, well, what does his audience know? What's actually happened? So I'm giving him context on the last 6 weeks, what his audience has actually seen previously. So here's everything Daniel's promoted this year, right? So they're up to, Claude's up to speed. Basically, as if Claude has been on Daniel's list for this time. Just more context. Just me giving it a bunch of context, telling him about my proof, case studies. There you go. I'm just rambling using Whisperflow basically. So it's pretty easy. And I just said, read all the docs that I uploaded basically. So you have context. And then it goes, cool. This is our task. This is what we've got to do. It pushed back on the ethically scammy for $300. This is what I mean about using your brain plus AI. So don't just take AI suggestions. I was like, no, that's a banger eyebrow. I want to use it. And so push back as well. So you want to use AI as more of a thought partner. I would say trust your gut. If the AI gives you an opinion and you disagree, you're in charge at the end of the day. So it basically just asked me a bunch of questions, which I also said in my prompts, I was like, ask me any questions you need in order to write the best sales letter possible. That's basically what I said. I just answered all the questions that it asked. It asked me more questions. I uploaded my welcome sequence, my recent emails about creative strategy, because this is the sort of brand voice that I wanted to use for the sales page. So the Andromeda story, the copy that webinar, how I got roasted on that, Zuck's $80 billion fuck up and how we got here. So the sort of the backstory as to why creative strategy is so hot. The optimism email, how we're so back, how this is very similar to what you're already doing as a copywriter and how like you can do this basically. We didn't end up using this one. The chat advertiser email, which like how cool it is to be a creative strategist. Like you're the gunslinger, you're the guy that just like walks into a room with his cock out and gets paid for it. That sort of energy, right? This guy says AI bought himself a course. So this is the technology adoption curve and how it's like we're still early to the game. We're in the early adopter phase. And then you're closer to anything. So like you can do this. You have all the skills already. You just need the last 20%, right? Like you're what's the word? You're looking for like the 89th key on a piano. So piano has 88 keys. Everyone wants like the missing secret, the one thing, right? The 89th key on the piano. It's like there's only 88 keys, but everyone wants that one magic missing key. And so this is really powerful message in any promo, right? Everyone wants to believe that it's like you're 90% of the way there. You're just missing the one secret, right? So that's kind of what we're establishing here. It's like, hey, this is an 180-degree rebrand. You don't have to learn a whole new thing from scratch. Literally, you just have to pivot what you're already doing towards ads. And so you're already familiar with most of the stuff. You just need that final 20%, which makes them think, oh, I can actually do this. All right, I'm closer than I think. Plus, I wanted to use a lot of this raw ammunition for the actual page. And so technically, I actually had already written a lot of the sales page myself, just in the form of all of these emails. And I basically said, hey, let's just combine all these emails together into the page. Cool. Plus, that's my brand voice too. So it's like very clear on how to write. Yeah, ask me more follow-up questions. And I was like, cool, let it rip. Off we go. And then it spits out this. I also explicitly told it to use this headline. So the headline did come from me. I said, this actually came from, I was rereading Dan Kennedy. Apparently, if you call Dan, you're automatically a good copywriter. The Ultimate Sales Letter. Did anyone read that? That was my book prescription for February. You motherfuckers, ignoring my goddamn prescriptions. Well, you guys should probably read it. Okay. Half of it is about direct mail, to be fair, but there's still some really great principles in there. And so he gave a bunch of headlines on one of the pages. And one of them was the formula, give me X hours and I'll show you how to this, which has become a very popular YouTube format. So I actually thought that started on YouTube. I thought it was like a YouTube trend. Turns out that's been a fucking headline winning formula for like decades. And Dan talked about it in his book. I was like, oh, that's where it came from. So I was like, sick, we're going to use that formula. So I got it from the Dan Kennedy book. And then this is actually the original headline I wanted to use for the AI ads lab. And fucking ChatGPT talked me out of it. Stick with your guns next time. Anyway, so that was my headline. I wrote the headline. And then, I wasn't happy with this part or the eyebrow. So this is just the first draft. Because of the email dialogue, I showed it the whole email dialogue as well. This is actually Claude's opener. So to Claude's credit, it came up with the idea to sort of do this opening dialogue here. Anyway, so writes a draft. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can see it's quite far off from the final one. Quick context, who it's for, who it's not for, what you actually get, what's in the box. I thought the order was a bit retarded because it's opening the letter and it's just like, immediately it's just like, and here's what you get. Module 1, Module 2, you get the toolbox. And I was like, dude, that's supposed to come way later. So this is probably, if we actually uploaded a template like RMBC or something, it's probably would have got it right faster. And then, then it goes into the proof, but isn't AI fake? It way over indexed on trying to answer that. It made it like half the page. I was like, dude, chill out. It's like one sentence. Then the bonus, and then the price, and some FAQ. Not really the best letter that it gives in the first draft, but I like the opener. So yeah, I basically said, hey, I think I like the opener. I think it's actually really great. And then I essentially realized, okay, we need to reorder this a lot. And so the way you guys need to think about sales pages is it's a series of belief bridges, yeah, that you need people to cross. And so all it is, it's just a chain of beliefs. You're trying to take someone from one side of the bridge to the other side of the bridge, okay? And they're here, and these are their beliefs, and you need them to believe a certain amount of things in order for them to buy your shit, okay? Think about it. What are all the beliefs someone would need to have in order to buy this offer? I think this will simplify sales pages for you guys, okay? It's just a series of belief shifts that you need people to cross that bridge. So everything that they would need to believe is true in order to buy this offer. Not just about the offer, but about creative strategy as a whole, about copywriting, about freelancing, not just my offer, but like all the beliefs they would need to have in order to say, yeah, I want this and I'm going to buy it. I'll give you guys 20 seconds. Just brain dump as many as you can think of. We're not talking about objections. We're talking about like beliefs. So I'll list out what you guys have read. So they said, I can do it. Yeah, so I can actually do this. Yep. Yeah, it's worth the money. Yes, okay, Sean isn't some guru, fake guru, whatever. AI slop. Yeah, okay, is this just AI slop? Yeah, it's not a straight up scam, which is less of a risk when it's an affiliate offer. For cold traffic, yeah, you'd want to layer on more proof than what I did. But because it's coming from Daniel's list and they know, like, and trust Daniel, if Daniel endorses it, Daniel says, this is the shit, it's awesome, I went through it, it's great, you should buy it. A lot of people will just buy it because of Daniel. Like, Daniel said it's good, okay, fine, I don't need to read your page. That's also why I put this at the top. Basically, TLDR for Daniel's readers who just want the deal, and then a button to buy straight away at the top for the skimmers. Cool. So Joseph says that creative strategy is right for me. What I've made no one said so far is that CS is in demand. Creative strategy is actually paying a lot. So it's in demand, it's paying a lot, that I can do this without prior experience, and that clients will actually hire me if I've never done it before. That's a big one that would need to be true, right? I need a university degree. I don't think that's something I believe. I don't think you guys are getting the prompt here. The question is, what are all the beliefs that would have to be true in order for them to buy? Okay, they do not need to believe I need a university degree, or my whole sales page would be convincing them to get a university degree. But they don't need a university degree, okay? This isn't objections. This is what do they need to believe in order to buy. So these are sort of the main ones here, okay? The belief chain, it's very important you get the order right. But before you can do the order, you need to actually list out the beliefs, okay? And it actually proposed to cut out the whole section about Andromeda and why creative strategy is so hot. It says, oh, Daniel's audience already knows that. And I was like, I searched Andromeda in Daniel's emails and he's never talked about it once. So I was like, they don't know that. So we need to have that. So anyway, I gave it pushback on what it said. It's a beliefs part. It was my idea to do the damaging omission actually and say, here's 3 reasons you shouldn't buy it. And I actually led with that. We'll get into that later. Anyways, I want to do this beliefs thing. So these are some of the main ones, right? Think about it. Okay, so they need to believe creative strategy is super hot. It's super in demand. It is something I can actually do, which is different. So I can actually do this. But also that I would actually get hired as a beginner. Like, would anyone actually hire me as a beginner? And then can I really learn this in 3 hours, in only 3 hours? Because that's quite a hell of a claim. Think about the headline, right? I'm basically saying in 3 hours and for $197, you can get an entry-level creative strategy job that pays like $3 to $5 grand a month. That's fucking insane. It's like, hey, skip university for 4 years and 50 grand. Just buy my $197 course instead at 3 hours, and then you can get friggin' like $3 to $5K a month, job. It's like, that's actually quite an insane claim, right? So can I really learn this in 3 hours? So this is sort of one of the most beliefs. Is it Is it worth the money? They would also have to believe that they need to do this now. So like sort of, I need to do this now and not later. Because if they don't believe that, then they'll not buy. They need to have some sort of internal urgency that they would want to actually buy now and not later, right? And so I need to communicate that in my narrative. That's pretty much the main ones. If you guys can think of anything else, let me know. This is pretty much the list that I came up with. It was like that. So then our job is to take this list and we got to put it in order. Because if you get the order wrong, then the sales page doesn't flow right. It doesn't make sense. So you need to, again, meet people at Main Street. Meet them where they are. So enter the conversation in the prospect's mind, right? So this is the key to the sales page, guys. You have the headline. You got to take them from not believing any of this shit to believing all of it in the right order in a way that flows naturally. So think about it. Before, like some of these are offer specific, right? Like, is Sean a scammer? That's like one thing. But would you start talking about that first? Or would you start talking about creative strategy in general? That this is a skill I would want to learn. You know, what would you start with? So out of all of these 12, which would you start with? I want you guys to let me know in the chat. This is a powerful thought exercise for y'all. I'm trying to get you to understand the thinking behind the letter, not just the prompts, not just the workflow, but actually how I think about going about writing a sales letter. So you guys can adopt the high level thinking and you can repeat the same process for yourself. So out of these 12, we'll narrow it down. Same thing. That's not really a belief. It's pretty much these core 9 beliefs, I would say. So I'm sorry for changing the numbers on you guys. Yeah, so Joseph got it right. I would say the first belief is like, why should I give a shit? Okay, the biggest question I can give you, anytime you are crafting a hook, an ad, an offer, a sales page, a VSL, even a video, like an organic reel that you're trying to get to go viral. You know, even with my music stuff, I'm trying to get random videos to go viral. I had my first viral video yesterday, by the way, after like years of posting content. Pretty excited about that. I say viral, it was like 260,000 views or something. But of all the videos, it was me accusing Alex Warren of stealing my song, and my song's a remix of his song, so it's kind of funny. Anyways, so the question, the golden question to always ask when you're creating any piece of content, whether it's an email, an ad, VSL, whatever it is, keep this question at the forefront of your mind. Okay, the golden question is, why should a stranger care right now? Always use this as an absolutely ruthless filter for anything you write. Why should a total stranger care right now? Okay, so with that question in mind, that's always what a stranger's thinking. They land on it, they see your ad, they see your page, whatever. It's like, what's in it for me? Why should I care? And not just why should I care, but why should I care right now? Because why is reading this more important than the 105,000 other things I have to do today? Or the 110 million more interesting pieces of content on the internet that I could watch. There's a lot of fucking great videos of cats and hot women in bikinis and festivals and crazy AI slop, nowadays. You're competing for attention with that as well. You're competing with attention with Married at First Sight, what the fuck, whatever's on TV, right? There's a lot of things competing for their attention. It's not just the sales page and them in a vacuum, is it? It's their whole life. Out of everything in their whole life, why should they read this page right now? It's long too. Like, dog, if I just do a 47-page Google Doc in front of you and I was like, yeah, read this, you'd be like, yeah, I got better shit to do. So we got to convince them, why should a stranger care right now? So with that in mind, which of these 9 would you say we need to address first? I'd say Joseph got it right. The why should I give a shit question is this one. Yeah, 4 and 5 technically. So we got to order these. Because if you put the order wrong, guess what? You lost their attention because they don't care. If I start talking about my credibility and why you should trust me, that's not really as strong. If I start talking about that the offer isn't a scam, I mean, if they're ready to buy, that might be the only thing they want to know, which is why we have the quick box at the top you always want to like capture the people hot and ready to go, and bam, we just put it right there. But like for everyone else reading the page, if I start talking about why it's worth your $197, it's like, well, they don't really even know if they want it yet. So the price justification, you can't just put it at the start because they're like, what am I getting for $197? Like, why should I even care? What even is this, right? So that's why we got to put it in the right order. So pretty much the belief chain needs to go, 1, is this in demand? We could kind of put /paying a lot, I guess, in the same sort of bucket. So is the vehicle validated, essentially? That's the first thing. Is this a skill worth having? Why should I even care about creative strategy at all? Okay, so we address that and we go, okay, it's in demand. Nice. From there, what's next? There we go. Well, I would say out of this list, we did this one. Well, I'd say, okay, it's in demand, but can I do it? And then if I can do it, can I get hired as a beginner? This one there. Yeah, actually, Leilani, I would say that's a great one as well to throw in there. Is this even the right offer to get me there? Because then why can't I join someone else's academy or whatever? That's a good one. So from there, can I do sell experience? Yes, cool. And then we basically just go through and we address these in order. So from there, I would pretty much say, oh, we've already got that twice. Covered that. So from there, the next one would go, can I really do this? Is it worth the money? Is this now, not later? Probably that one. Now, not later. So then I talk about why the opportunity is hot right now, but why it won't be hot forever. Why you need to get in on this now. Then after all this, they're like, okay, I'm sold on creative strategy. I need to become a creative strategist. Now it's like, well, are you the best person to learn from? So that's sort of this and this combined. So is this the right offer to get me there? Would naturally fall here. Slash kind of goes hand in hand with, is Sean the guy to learn from, basically? So I need to believe Sean is the guy to learn this from. So those sort of go pretty well together. And then from there, then it's more about the offer logistics. I've sort of worded these wrong. These need to be statements. It is worth the money. I really can learn this in 3 hours. This is the right offer for me. This is the right offer to get me there. Cool. And then we have these at the end. And then we're in the logistics. I can learn this in 3 hours and it's worth the money. Depending on how price sensitive you list, you could swap these over, but this is pretty much the logistical stuff. So then the rough order of our page goes like this. So you can see how is writing a sales page much easier now? Because you go from okay, I've got to create a 45-page fucking monster and you're staring at a blinking Google Doc cursor like this. And you're like, what the fuck do I say? Now, okay, when you brain dump, okay, these are all the beliefs I need them to believe in order to buy. Okay, what order do I need to believe them in? First, they need to believe in the vehicle, the market. Creative strategy is actually in demand. This is why you should and must be a creative strategist. And this is why, in fact, you shouldn't even be a copywriter anymore. In fact, you should just abandon your old identity as a copywriter. In fact, the only possible job you could possibly want to have right now is being a creative strategist. And here's why everything else is invalid. And this is why it's the only logical choice is you would want to become a creative strategist. And by the way, you can totally do this because look at all these other people who have done it. And look at all the job postings on LinkedIn. Look how similar it is to copywriting. You can see how you already have the skills to do it. So you can, of course, do this. In fact, let me prove it. You've been doing this your whole life because it's the same stuff you're already doing as an email copywriter. You're just doing it for ads. And by the way, if you don't believe that clients would even hire a beginner, even though you've never done this, why should they hire you? Well, look at these job opportunities. Look at these people saying, we'll hire you as a creative strategist for 80K and they don't even ask for experience. So I'll show you how these map to the things on the page. This took way too long to write in GHL, but you get the idea. Okay, so first we have the headline. The hero image is the strongest image I can think of is basically just proof that it's in demand. That's what Daniel said he wanted. His audience wants work that's in demand, that they can get paid for right now. And literally what encapsulates that better than a proof screenshot of all these jobs that were posted yesterday for a creative strategist. It's in demand. There's work going around right now. There's money to be made right now. So we put this here for the skimmers. Some people will just want everything Daniel offers and they don't need to even read my page. So make it easy for those people. That's the key, Don't bury all the shit. Don't make them have to look for the CTA. For the people who want it, they want it. Give them an opportunity straight away. So to not have this, they don't have to go scroll through and fucking read all this stuff. And then you've lost their attention maybe. So just give that to them straight away. This is the fun dialogue. Now, you could say this violates maybe some of these principles because traditional copywriter would say, well, you need to just jump straight into the belief shifting stuff. But again, we need to hook their attention. So that's the most important thing. It's if I want them to get to read a 45-page fucking letter, I better hook their attention with something kind of interesting, entertaining, or juicy, and do that through a fun little dialogue, little backstory. Hey, here's how we got here. And so part of this narrative is also the price. And it's why am I selling this for so cheap? That could be another thing. The belief they would have to believe is is this worth the money? But even not just is it worth the money, is this is not too good to be true, basically. That's really huge too. Because it seems if it's an offer as good as you say it is, why is it so cheap? Right? So I actually not just have to prove that it's worth the money, I actually have to say that it's actually as legit as I'm saying. And it actually is a $500 or $1,000 course or whatever. So anyway, explain a fun little dialogue with the opener there, just kind of gets them, smiling a bit. And so they're more probable to actually read the page. Then from there, 3 reasons to not buy the AI Ads Lab. So this is my damaging omission. I'm basically saying, hey, here's 3 reasons you shouldn't buy it. And the reason that I opened with this is because pretty much every other sales page is just trying to sell them shit. And I want to focus more on building trust. And if you lead with a damaging omission, I actually use the same strategy to sell my car for about $4,000 over asking price in a week. And all I said in my job description of the sales description, I said, hey, before I tell you anything about the car, you need to know there's a small dent on the front left bumper. It's tiny, you probably wouldn't even notice it, but I would hate for you to buy it and then feel ripped off later. So I wanted to be like honest and transparent about the tiny, tiny dent. And then I go into like a full sales page about why my car is awesome and you should buy it, right? But it's like because I led with the damaging omission, they now trust me. They actually believe all the claims I'm making because I led with like what's not good about it. It's a really, really powerful sales tactic. And the other thing I did was I basically reframed these into good things. And so they're technically like, hey, these are 3 weaknesses, but actually they're like strengths disguised as weaknesses. Okay. So I said, hey, this is not a fully comprehensive 40-hour course. It's like the 80-20. So basically it's everything you need to know to land an entry-level role in just 3 hours. So you don't actually have to watch 40 hours of fluff. There's a lot of other, trainings which are like long-winded. And I said, I showed the personal care that I went to even cut it down as much as possible. I spent my entire flight to Vegas personally editing the recordings to cut out every filler word. So it's as concise as I possibly can make it. I said, if you want a full level, senior level, creative strategy training, that's my 4K offer. That's not this. Next, damaging omission. This is 6 months old, which is ages in AI time. It's exactly why I updated it to be up to date. And then the third, this only teaches meta ads, not Google. That is probably the only legitimate don't buy it thing. If you wanted to learn Google ads, I'm not going to teach it here. But again, I flip it here, right? And I say, I use this as an opportunity to further my credibility because I say, hey, I've only ever run meta ads. And so I'm teaching this from actual experience, not regurgitated theory. So I use that as an opportunity to basically say, I'm just teaching you what I actually know. And I know meta ads and I don't know Google ads. But I also say Meta is the platform most businesses are actually hiring for. So Meta is actually the one that matters the most. Google matters less. Those are deal breakers, don't buy it. If it is, if you're ready to buy it. Shouldn't click that. Okay. Let me show you why this is the cheapest entry point into the highest paying copywriting offer of 2026. So now we go into, we look at our beliefs that we've mapped. That CS is in demand, that's paying a lot. And now I need to prove it. So this is why it's in demand, and this is why it's paying a lot. And I basically say, here's how we got here. So how did creative strategists become 2026 hottest job title? I don't need to tell you that it's hot. Like they already know that it's hot. They've seen it everywhere. They've heard it everywhere. They've seen Daniel's previous promos. So it would waste time. Again, remember, enter the conversation in their mind. It would waste time and real estate for me committing that it is hot. They know that. So I need to say, well, why is it actually hot? Let me explain how we got here. And I have this belief that if you're the person to help someone have that epiphany, that aha moment, they'll always attribute that to you, right? And they'll think like you're like the genius or whatever. If you explain why, because a lot of people don't understand why it's so hot. They just know that it's hot, but they still don't really get it. And so if I'm the one to actually explain how we got here, and then that's why I explain the whole Zuckerberg story and how it's like, hey, we're in a short-lived, aggressive hiring spree right now. Tons of brands are hiring. We're in early adoption phase. You still have time to get in, but if you wait, so this is me injecting urgency. If you wait, you're going to miss the hiring spree. And if you're wondering how we got here, then I tell the whole Zuckerberg story about how $80 billion invested in the metaverse. It was a failure. And he redirected the computing power to Andromeda. The little pictures go away a long way. They don't just break up the text. They add a bit of fun and flavor and personality, this motherfucker again. This just adds a lot of like credibility and proof, essentially. It's like a supporting argument. So a picture speaks 1,000 words, right? So if there's a way you can throw in a picture like this just helps people visually in 1 second. You go, oh, okay, I get it, without me having to write paragraphs. This, I'm basically saying, hey, look how sophisticated their new algorithm is. So because of the way it works, you guys know how this works, right? I don't need to explain it. Brands, because of the way Andromeda targeting system works, it just needs as many angles as possible. And so therefore, overnight, brands went from needing 3 to 5 ads to needing 25 to 50 per campaign. So every brand needs like 5 to 10 times more ads. Suddenly, overnight, that's why they're all scrambling to desperately hire someone who can produce that many ads, because that's just so many ads, they can't keep up. And the name for that role is a creative strategist. So now I've said that. Now I need to prove that's true. So it's one thing to say it, it's a belief. The belief they have to have is this, and I've explained the belief. They go, okay, that makes sense, but it doesn't mean they believe you. Just because you explain it doesn't mean they're automatically like, oh yeah, Sean is king, Sean is God, Sean is fact, Sean is life and love, and they believe me straight away. No, I got to prove it now. Okay, so that's the other thing you got to remember. Every time you make a claim, you create some skepticism, right? So you need to overcome that with proof. So every time you make a claim, you got to follow it up with proof. So I prove it. I'm like, all right, brace yourself. This is what the demand actually looks like. And I say, if you're a copywriter who's struggled to land clients even with cold outreach, this might be hard to fathom because it's actually crazy. Like most copywriters can't even land clients when they're doing outreach, and the thought of clients reaching out to them is like unheard of, right? It's like, it's hard to believe that it could even be in that much demand. If you've had to grind on cold outreach for so long, it's like, that's all we know, right? Think about, your journey here in copywriting. It's like, all you know is outreach and the struggle of landing clients. And it's like hard to even fathom that there could be more supply than demand, right? And so I'm like, well, look, go to the job boards. And I, say, look, 2,500 jobs just here in Australia for creative strategists. hiring creative strategists, and I underline the headlines and the dates of each one. I say, hey, look how recent these are. Hiring creative strategists. And I'm just trying to hammer home as many screenshots as I can, as many job opportunities as I can. $130,000 a year, creative strategist, and then just underlining all of them. I said, even OpenAI is hiring. The fucking copywriting killing company that rolled out ChatGPT is also hiring a copywriter and a creative strategist. And they built the AI that's supposed to replace us, you know? So that's like a mega proof bomb. And then, so the next belief is, okay, I get it, it's in demand, but can I do it? Because all these roles, you know, they probably require experience, right? So why would they hire a newbie? So that's why I need to say, you know, better yet, most of them, or many of them, don't require any experience at all. And they still pay $80,000 a year. And I prove that with a screenshot. And it says entry level, 80K. I probably actually, even better, is I should take the paragraph in this job listing where it says no experience required. It just says like experience preferred. And so that would be even better. And I might add that to the page. And then I'm saying, hey, the hiring wave is so crazy. People are getting hired just from putting creative strategist in their bio. And these were 2 comments that people commented on my post a little while ago. The average salary is 130K a year. The most entry levels retainers I'm seeing are 3 to 5K a month or 8K a month part-time. Sorry, full-time. Basically said, hey, that's like 60 to 100K a year for a role you can land, you know, this week or next week with the current experience that you basically have with a bit of training experience. This is a fun one. So this is something Claude actually found in the research process. This is why I said research is so key. It's so important because you get these angles you can use in your page. So Claude found this viral, I guess, Twitter post. I'd never heard of it, but it found it in its research. So there was a brand called Vonu, and they posted a creative strategy role on Threads for $55,000 a year. And the internet fucking destroyed them. There were literally hundreds of comments of people calling them just insultingly low prices. People posting memes. I'll try and find I'll just show you. This is funny. Anyway, people were not happy about it. They were saying that's basically slavery. This guy, we're looking for a graphic designer. So basically the internet just like did what the internet does, right? And just roasted him alive for saying like, that's ridiculous. How could you possibly expect such a important high paying role? How can you expect someone to possibly do that for 55K? Someone was like, yeah, I'll do it for 50K, but what every deliverable will be raw ChatGPT output that I won't change at all. It'll just be AI slop. You know, so basically the internet went crazy saying like, you guys are cooked. And that's great for my argument, right? If I'm saying that it should be a high paying role. And I'm like, hey, the whole internet is agreeing with me here. You don't believe me? Believe the whole internet because they roasted these guys. And so I said, even the worst paying creative strategy job on the entire internet still pays 5 times your investment in the first week. Let that sink in. Right, so that's a great little argument there. Okay, cool. Now we've done that. Now, next belief, we pretty much crossed that off. What's the next one? So now I need to get them to believe that they can actually do it. So, I mean, the order is like not 100% relative here, but it's pretty close. So here's the part that should piss you off. So now I basically need to prove that they can do it, right? So I'm like, hey, you're a copywriter. You're 80% of the way there. Let me prove it. And then this is taken directly from my email. So I used a lot of my emails in this letter. You know, what you already do as a copywriter, research angles, write copy, look at data, iterate. What a creative strategist does. It's exactly the same bullets, except I added the word add. Instead of copy, add copy. I'm like, spot the difference. Look harder. You know, this is directly just from my email. I'm like, okay, maybe there is no difference. The only real difference is you're doing it for ads instead of emails, and you own the whole engine end to end, and you're positioned as the person responsible for growth, not just the copy. And because, you know, you've been doing this work for years, but because you call yourself a copywriter and not a creative strategist, clients are comparing you to ChatGPT, and you get dunked on basically. And you're being treated like an order taker, not a problem solver. That's why you're earning $500 per email instead of 8K a month retainers. And so, you know, I said, hey, you don't need a whole rebrand here. You just need to learn the final technical 20% about how ads work, and then you can do this. So that's the you can do it ticked. But then I've got to prove it, right? Because I said that, I've still got to prove it. And so, hey, to prove I'm not making this up, I put 1,200 copywriters through the AI Ads Lab since in the last 6 months, most of which are just the MV members, to be honest. And then we go into the proof section. So I'm basically saying, hey, you can do this too. Look at all these beginners who are doing it. So Hunter went through this exact workshop and he landed a $2,500 client the same week as the workshop from what I taught. And basically I start with the most relatable proof and I just ramp the proof up to get more and more extreme, I guess. So I'm like, this is the outcome this workshop is built for. Hey, what's up, Leilani? And I said, hey, here's Leilani. And she's been ripping this hook offer and landing clients with that. And I specifically mentioned, because the screenshot says $300 and I knew people would be tripping out that it's like, bro, she got paid $300. That's, you know, kind of counterintuitive to my argument because I'm saying you can land 3K a month retainers. Why does the screenshot say 300? So that's why I added the annotation to explain what the $300 actually is and why that's our entry offer. And the point is to upsell them into the retainer. So I had to explain that just because otherwise the screenshot would be negative proof, basically. So then I ramp it up, talk about Logan. He landed the 8K month retainer, put the screenshot there, plus the 4,000 ad project, that's 12K in just April alone. April's not even over. And then, of course, we got Sam. So, now we're up to like 50K a month. And I knew, if we're talking 50K a month here, I knew already that's way more than what this workshop can do and way more than what they believe they can do themselves. And so that's why I just did like a hypothetical proof ceiling. And so I was like, I could tell you that there's even higher levels. I could tell you about AJ, who made $250,000 income last month doing this, and how he joined us at $1,000 a month. And, after 90 days is making 10K a month running ads, which is creative strategy. And now he's worked his way up to 50-50 profit share of this business and made $250,000 income last month. I could show you proof screenshots like these, but I'm not going to. So obviously that's a funny little hypothetical bit because I'm saying, it'd be so unbelievable. I wouldn't even believe it if I saw that. If he wasn't my literal housemate, I wouldn't even believe that was true. And then obviously I need to bring them back down to earth here. And this also builds trust too. So I'm saying, am I saying you're going to buy a $197 program and then make 50K or 200K next month? Absolutely not. But I'm saying, that's what's possible after 2 to 3 years in the game. So I want to also show them the ceiling. I don't just want to show them like, hey, you can make quick money, $3,000, $5,000 a month. I want to appeal to more ambitious people too, so they can clearly see the career path to grow. They can go, holy fuck. Oh, wow. If I learn this skill, not only can I make money now, but like, look what I can grow into. That's insane. So I want to get them excited. And then I say, but the entry level roles you can land now. Cool. So we've basically hit the first half, which is like creative strategy is awesome. You can do it. You can land clients without experience. You need to do this now, not later. We've hit all of that. Now I just need to really establish credibility that I'm the right guy to do it. And then maybe like show them what the ads look like and that sort of thing. So by now, most people are sold, right? That's the thing with sales letters is like, you want to think about it like dominoes. As soon as a domino falls, basically someone's reason to buy and their skepticism is gone. They're in. You don't need to further convince them, which is why you want to have these buttons and the call to actions at not every single stage, but like whatever it makes sense. So you want to have multiple call to actions. You don't just want to have one at the end. Because as soon as the belief domino falls, if that's the last thing stopping them from buying, they're like, okay, cool. Now I'm in. So give them an opportunity to buy right there. So now I want to introduce myself. I basically say, hey, we're like 27 pages in. I haven't even introduced myself. So then I give my little credibility section. Hey, I've been doing this since 2017. I've helped all these people get all these clients, coached all these copywriters, worked with all these big names, been running ads since 2019. Hey, I'm practicing what I preach. I've spent $1.4 million of my own money on ads, made $6 million back. And then I joke about how it's like a rented Stripe screenshot. I'm an ecom guru guy, but I say, hey, I figured you want proof since most of this was generated from ads. Thought you want proof that I'm actually out here walking the walk. So that's my little credibility section for anyone who's still sort of skeptical. Again, normally you might have this a bit earlier if it's cold traffic, but because these people came from Daniel's trust is sort of automatically referred onto me. And so if they trust Daniel, they'll likely trust me. So there's not as much need to do that. So the context is important. I'm just going to read the chat. Yeah, you're famous now, Leilani. See if you get hired off it. Probably not, because it's copywriters reading it. So now I want to explain what these AI ads are. Because the only thing left is like, okay, I understand the role of creative strategy, but like when you say AI ads, like what are you talking about exactly? So I just want to alleviate any confusion. And this is more, we're getting to the stage of the sales process where it's like, what's in the box? What do you get? What are you actually going to be doing on a day-to-day basis? What does this actually look like? So I want to make it very tangible for them and clearly explain what it's going to be, because it's still quite ethereal. It's quite like vague. So I want to make it really concrete now so they can clearly see, okay, it's in demand, it's high paying. I can do this. There's opportunities for me. Sean's credible. I should learn from Sean, but what am I going to do? Is the work even fun? Will I even enjoy the work? So that's what this section does. So like, here's the actual ads we'll be running. Here's some examples that I've done before. Here's some results that I got. I explained that one in the context of the campaign. It's not a one-off fluke. Hey, this is an ad I'm running right now and it's my top performer. And guess what? It's an AI video hook that I made using the exact same training that I'm going to give you in the AI Ads Lab. In fact, go look it up right now on Meta Ads Library. It's running right now. I'm showing you what's working today, not 12 months ago. So it just reinforces the fact that it's like, it didn't just work once 6 months ago and I'm reteaching old shit. I'm like, hey, I'm currently doing this right now. You can even fact check me, go to Meta Ads Library, and you'll see this ad. And it's one of my top performers. And I show what the ad looks like so they can sort of see what they'll be doing. It's also just a really good proof piece there. Builds a lot of believability. And then I'm like, hey, it's not just me either. It's all my business owner friends. They're ripping with AI ads too. So I show James's screenshot and how this new ad lowered his cost per call by 35% without changing anything else, just by adding an AI video hook. And that's like insane. By the way, I embedded this with Wistia, if you're wondering on the technicality of how that works. Another pro tip for GHL, don't upload images directly into GHL. I recommend you use a tool called Cloudinary. It's actually free, and you literally just throw all your images in there. What's really cool about this? Why does it fucking log me out? Anyway, you throw your images in there, and then it'll automatically convert them to like WebP, because you don't want to have, all these screenshots are like 0.5 megabyte images, like PNG images, right? If you have 30 of those on a page, your page is going to load slow as fuck. And that's the number one killer of sales. It's a page that loads slowly, right? You want them to load instantly and also be high quality. That's the trade-off, right? Because you don't want your images to look like garbage. So the trade-off and the technicality of how you do that is use a third-party tool. Cloudinary is a really good one. There's a bunch of them. It'll automatically convert it to WebP, which is like a really efficient file, so that they still have great quality, but it loads quickly, in case you're wondering. So that's a pro tip. Cool. So I basically explained, here's what the ads are. They work for me. They work for other people. This is where I throw in the clarifying statement of, hey, we're not faking customer testimonials with AI, because Daniel said that was an objection. So I made sure to address it. We actually do the opposite. I have my AI act as a skeptical avatar. And what I'm talking about is UGC ads. So I basically just explain for anyone who's still confused about what these AI ads are. So say the old way is we hire a random influencer, ship them free product, wait 2 weeks for them to film a clip. Wow, I love this green water bottle. It's so nice and green. It holds all my water. And then follow up 10 times because they're busy. And then you're trying to coordinate a dozen of these every week just to keep up with Andromeda's demand. And then the bratty fucking influencers want to charge you, thousands of dollars for this 15-second clip of saying they love your green water bottle. And it takes forever and it's expensive, right? So I'm basically explaining, hey, this is why this is so appealing to these brands. Can you see how this would be appealing? The new way, you click some buttons and immediately you have an AI avatar saying whatever you want. Done in 60 seconds. And now they're going, now it's clicking. You see what I mean? They're going, oh, I get it. This is why this would be in high demand. And the technology is honestly so good now. Most people don't even realize they're watching an AI video, which is scary. Because I'm doing this for I can tell this is AI. I mean, obviously I made this video in Sora, so I can tell it's AI. But like if I just saw this in my feed, I'd have to look at it pretty closely to even know anymore if this is AI or if it's real, right? So I'm basically saying that's why it works so well. And we can create tons of ads like this. And I show you how to do it exactly in the training. Click here. Steal it. So you'll notice the primary button copy I use is steal it for $197. Because that's the narrative of this whole thing. I'm basically saying, hey, you're ripping me off. So come steal my offer. Abuse me financially, fuck me out of $300. It's like the theme of the page. And so now we're into the final, what's in the box? What do you actually get? Which is what Claude led with. And I told Claude, that's fucking dumb. Put it at the end. No one cares about what they get until all of these beliefs are true first, right? So once they believe all this shit, now they're like, all right, what does it actually come with? What do I actually get? So this is for the detailed people. Most of the people won't really care. I'm not the type of person who gives a shit. I don't want to know. But for your more sophisticated buyers or your more skeptical buyers, they would want to see, is this worth it? Maybe I bought a course on this shit before and I want to make sure I'm not buying the same thing I already know. So I just clearly explain what's actually covered. So what are you getting? It's this, the process I use in my business. I just go through module by module explaining what it is, what each module is, basically just basic bullets about the modules, nothing revolutionary there. Plus you get all these bonuses as well. You get this, and you get this, and you get this, and all the swipes, and the scripts, and the outreach templates, and the prompts, and the AI tools. And then I pre-frame the order bump as well. So the order bump for this, rather than the old order bump was you get the client getting scripts, but because I've already framed and promised this whole sales page is we're going to teach you how to get clients, I can't be like, oh yeah, you got to pay me extra for that part. That's kind of sleazy, right? So I had to come up with a new order bump. So here we have our bonus. Hey, Daniel Throssell exclusive bonus. It's the Roast My Ads live Zoom call. And I make it clear you get the replay. And then last here at the end, normally you do this a bit earlier in the page, but I didn't think it deserved to be higher in this case. So I just said, this is for you if you're a copywriter, you're willing to spend 3 hours, the usual stuff. This is not for you if you're a lazy fuck and you're a course collector. Then we did the old price anchor, still reading, here's the deal. It used to be $497, $197. Normally you wouldn't like lead with the price so early, like I've done in this letter and mention the price so many times, like still for $197. You normally wouldn't do that in a page, but the price is kind of the narrative. So the price is a selling feature. If it's a more expensive thing, you're not gonna be like, buy now for 5K. You want to like spend a long time justifying the price before the big price reveal. So normally the big price reveal would come at the end. But because the whole narrative of this and the way they've been framed coming from Daniel's list is, hey, this is a screeching good deal. Like the price is a selling feature because of how cheap it is. So that's why I've mentioned it. You wouldn't do that in every letter. And that's why I'm like hammering the price everywhere, making it seem like it's a bargain, which it is, let's be honest. And then I justify the price here at the end. So this is like the final thing. Is this worth the money? And also that it's not too cheap to be real. So actually we led with that. We basically said, hey, this is basically too good to be true and you should get it now. It's a limited time deal. And I explained that Daniel basically forced me to lower the price. He bullied me into this. So that's sort of the handles this. It's too good to be true. I'm like, yeah, it is actually a $500 thing. Daniel literally like bullied me into lowering the price. And so that's why it's as cheap as it is. So that alleviates the fear of like, what's the catch? Because if the deal's too good, people just think, what's the catch? Like if I sold you a Ferrari, I said, hey, I've got a Ferrari, you can buy it right now. It's $50,000. What's your first thought? You're not like, oh, bargain. Yeah, I'll take it. You're like, what's wrong with the car? It's broken. It doesn't work. It's stolen. Someone died in it. You have all these like objections, right? So I have to also explain that it's not too good to be true. So here I justify the price. I basically say if you land literally any work at all from this measly $197, if you land a 3K a month, that's a 15x ROI in 30 days. I'm like, you don't get the returns anywhere. Not even meta ads. Wink. The full tech stack, costs you basically fuck all in comparison to how much you're going to be making. And then because the prices are good, I feel like I don't really need to justify it. And so I'm like, I'm not going to do the whole bullshit value stack. I respect your intelligence too much. I'm also marketing to copywriters, remember, as well. So the challenge for me is that if you do all the traditional shit, like the value stack and the red timers and the urgency stuff, they've seen it. It's literally their job to make this shit, right? They've seen it a gazillion times. And so I'm going to write to them in a slightly different way because I know there's sophisticated copywriters who are half reading what I'm saying and half analyzing my copy and half swiping it at the same time, right? And so that's why I'm sort of doing this anti-selling. It's part of the reason why I had the 3 reasons you shouldn't buy this like damaging emission at the start. Part of the reason why I just put the deal itself in a box at the beginning, because I'm like, they know all the tricks already, right? And so I can still use them. You should still use them. Don't pull your punches because, they're copywriters, but just be in mind, it's like if I was to do the cheesy value stack, that would damage a lot of trust and credibility that I had with them. So I'd rather just keep it conversational. Camera's turned off. Here we go. So I'm like, the deal's the deal. This is what you get. And then the very last thing at the end is my guarantee. So this is the cherry on top. I also want to talk about the placement of this because you might think, well, if the guarantee is so good, why don't you lead with it? You can mention way earlier in the page, it's a great hook. Hey, I'll give you money back if it doesn't work. The reason I didn't do that is because I don't want them to, number one, latch onto the guarantee is the reason that they're buying the money back guarantee. I don't really want them to think about the money back guarantee. I don't want them to think about buying it with the intent of refunding, but also because you don't need to. So you want to save. Sometimes with a sales page, what you often want to do is if you have a sexy bonus or a sexy guarantee, you want to try and make your sales argument without it. And a lot of people will buy without it. And then it's kind of like your final right hook, like your final punch, like the biggest bullet in your chamber. So you got like one big ass bullet to fire at the end for anyone who's still not sold by this point. I'm like, boom, there's your layup deal. Even if you don't like it, I'll give you money back. Then people are like, okay, fuck, you got me. It's like, you come to this point and then, and if I don't like it, you'll give my money back in 30 days for any reason. Yeah, fuck it. Now like basically it's literally risk-free. It's basically free. So now it's like, okay, people are going to buy. And then very final thing, any major objections that they still might have, I want to answer them here in the FAQ. And then if I had to keep that in there. And then a final button here at the end with the countdown timer. So that's it. That's the page. It's pretty simple. It is quite long, but can you guys see like how the creation process, it's not that overwhelming when you just break it down into this. Like this is really all it is. This is the sales page in like 50 words. And I just really extrapolate those points and provide the proof. The hardest part was just finding all these images and like cropping them and dealing with GHL's fucking shit interface. But the page itself, it was pretty quick. So that was basically the creation process. And so just to finish the thing here in Claude, it was just me going back and forth with Claude. That's all it really was. Okay, so there's nothing crazy about it. It's pushing back on my ideas. I'm pushing back on its ideas. I'm asking it to do a second draft. I'm just copy chiefing Claude basically. So I'm basically using Claude as like the word monkey that's sitting there typing the actual shit. I'm the ideas person. So I'm the brain essentially. So it's like a co-creation between me and Claude. Sometimes, it'll come up with a great thing. Like I loved its opener with the dialogue. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. We're doing that. But the rest of it wasn't good. So I push back and I say, hey, rewrite it. And then it does. And then, yeah, you can see how like drawn out this process is. By this point, we're up to V3. And I'm like, reorder it. Then we did the whole belief shifting thing. So I think I actually asked it. I think I literally said, what are all the beliefs someone would have to be true? And then what order would they have to happen in? So I did the exercise that we just did. But with Claude, I insisted on keeping my ethically steal from me line. There we go. And so now it's looking a bit more like the final one. The wording's still a bit boring there. But you can see this is kind of the final structure that we settled on, right? And all I did was I basically copy pasted this all into a Google Doc. So I asked it for like a Google Doc format and then got to work rewriting it myself, cleaning it up, putting it into my voice bits, just to make it as good as I possibly could. For most people, you'd be totally fine not doing the final step, but I'm like I'm writing for an audience of copywriters. So obviously the page has to be incredible. It's also for Daniel Throssell, who I know is like very high standards. So for most of you guys, if you're writing for any other client, like you could stop here at this V3, it was pretty good. But because I'm writing for copywriters who are literally judging the fuck out of me, if my sales letter is good, that's probably more important to them than the actual offer being good. Because they're like, oh, this guy is a good copywriter, therefore I trust him. Therefore, I'll buy his shit. So it's like the meta of my offer is my copy. It's like my copy almost is the product in a way because I'm selling to copywriters. And so that's why I have to go above and beyond and make it really good and go to these lengths and do all these steps. You probably won't have to, but yeah, that's the process.